Greetings. It's Saturday afternoon in Connecticut, and it is raining outside. At the moment, it's about 40 degrees, so it's not snowing, but they say it's on its way. They say tonight into tomorrow we should get 4 inches, but you know, they change the model every so often. But we're supposed to head right back down into the deep freeze. I was lucky enough to pick up a couple of computers this morning so I can get another video in. And I have 2 Hewlett-Packards here. I'm going to need a torque screwdriver with a number 10 bit. That's what most HPs take. I've already taken the screws out for the power supply. Undid the thumb screw. And we'll get this out. These are called small form computers. And they don't really seem to have too much in them. There's really only one slot here for RAM. I think they're just a basic functioning office computer or point of sale computer. I do see quite a few of them in the restaurants and marketplaces. Let's get in here and see what she's got, huh? You won't really see these used for gaming. They don't have the speed, they don't have the processing. So these are just a basic workstation computer. Okay. I wound up yesterday, after I did the video on scrapping all those power supplies and battery backups out, I wound up going downstairs to the basement and just taking a hammer to that one annoying power supply that just would not give me a break yesterday. And there was, sure enough, one screw hidden under the plastic. It's just, I've scrapped hundreds of those things. And that one just wanted to give me a lot of aggravation, I guess. I'm still kind of on the fence about what to do with the light iron. I don't see a heck of a lot of point in saving it. There's really not a lot of value. It's still paying like $40 a ton, gross ton. And, you know, to fill up the car, drive all the way to the scrapyard, and then walk out with $4 is not really my idea of fun. So the iScrap app is kind of thinking it'll go up a little bit. I hope it does. For me, most of my light iron is the computer shells. But lately I've been just putting them out on the curb for the local guys to come by and take. They're really, those poor guys are really taking a beating with the prices down like they are. And I do feel kind of bad for them. I don't depend on scrapping. It's just something I really enjoy doing. This is a lot different than the last set of small form computers I did. I had, oh, I don't know, maybe 100 of Lenovo's, small form. That whole thing just popped up and was really easy to get to. This one, not so much. There's only one RAM slot here, So you're not going to get a lot of power or a lot of speed out of these. These are probably good for point of sales, restaurants, document writing, accounting. When you don't have a lot of space for a big tower, these are certainly a good way to go. Okay. This is going to be your best friend when you're doing these computers, especially when you have to try to get way down into the corner to get the board out to get the screw out, so on and so forth. Okay, that one's out. This is done. This is done. That's done. That one's done. And that one there's done. Should. You can sell these directly, or you can throw them into your shred. Board Sort will buy the boards out of them. They'll also buy them like so. I don't really have a local yard anymore that I can bring my scrap electronic stuff to. I have to drive all the way up to New York to do so, which is fine. That's why I really now have to wait till I get a good enough load to make it worth my trip. We've got one stick of low-grade RAM, maybe 2 gigabytes. Get the battery off. Remember, you've got to take the batteries off when you're selling boards. They'll downgrade your entire load if you leave the batteries on. They are hazardous. I do collect the batteries. I do recycle those at the local landfill. They have a dedicated spot for such things. Well, we're supposed to be heading back into the deep freeze tomorrow. It's 40 degrees out today, and it's supposed to go down into the chiller zone again tomorrow. It's been very cold. This has been the coldest winter in many years here in Connecticut. We haven't really gotten the snow, but boy, have we gotten cold weather. I kind of think it's across the country. There's been a lot of wind and a lot of cold. So this will be a power board. I will take this apart and I will get the copper and the aluminum off of it. I probably am going to do all the power supplies in just one video because there's several kinds I have here. And I'll probably just do that in another video. I think the boards are worth going after. And again, just my humble opinion. Okay. This has a couple of interesting things on it. Let's see if I can get this shroud off of the CPU. You just know there's one little screw here holding the whole shooting match on here, right? Flashing back to yesterday, that battery backup that gave me so much headache. Alright, come on. tell my students, I own a band instrument rental service, and when I teach them how to open and close their cases with their instruments, I will tell them if you have to force it, something is not like it should be. Same thing here. If you're really having trouble getting something off, go back and look. You probably missed a screw or a wire, and some such thing. It turned out yesterday, after all that fiasco, it was one stinking screw holding the whole thing together. And when I went down with the hammer and bashed the whole thing apart, I found out. I was sitting there laughing at myself. I'm like, you know, a lot of different opinions about what to do with the fans too. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion anymore. I have a bucket full of them downstairs. They do have copper motors in them, but most yards won't bother. They don't pay for it. And throw it into shred, well, you know, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? So sometimes I just save stuff until I can make a more educated decision. Again, your long-handled screwdriver is your best friend. Right down, you'll pop these 4 guys off. One more. As I said, I just keep these in a bucket down in the basement to see if I may or may not take the copper motors out. I don't know. I don't have to right now, which is fine. Again, aluminum and aluminum. You'll need to get these off. You can do that with a little set of snips. You can put them over the edge of your workbench. You can bang here. These little clips will break and these screws will come out. You can also just snip them. You can also just snip them. And they just pop off. I'm going to throw these in with old sheet aluminum because that's what the yard will buy them as. I think I know Board Sort will buy them as clean aluminum heat sink. The only thing with Board Sort is shipping from Connecticut to Ohio is, again, not really cost effective. So sometimes you have to suck it up and sell it to the scrapyard. I know, everybody's going, but that, of course it's extruded. You know that, I know that. But if they're buying it, well, they're going to give me old sheet, and I've just stopped arguing about it. For a couple of cents, not worth it. And taking it off the yard's not a real good idea. This is what you've heard me refer to as spaghetti wire. It's very low grade, and they don't pay very much for it, but you do want to keep it separated from your better wire, otherwise they downgrade the whole thing. Now, this bent arm, according to the shark scrapper, means I should have an I series chip here. And the whole thing with the I-series chip is if it's 7 or later, board sort has a test and buy program. This is an I3, so it's really not worth anything more than scrap value. I don't think it'll pick up on camera, but I'll show it to you. I don't know if you can see it. It'll say Intel iCore 3. I'm just going to sell that as a metal-backed pinless CPU. Some boards, some yards will ask you to take these off. Again, that's just your individual yard. Wi-Fi cards. You can put that in with peripheral low. It's got a little bit of visible gold on it. Some places have a separate category for the Wi-Fi cards. Of course, you need about 1,000,001 of them because they're so light. Okay, that is about it for this board. You can go after the brass if you wish. Sometimes they're gold under here, but don't forget to take the battery off. Okay. And that, as they say, is that for that board. This will be a small socket green motherboard. The large socket will be able to accommodate a quarter. This obviously will not, so this is a small socket, small middle socket green motherboard. I really just tend not to stack up the computers anymore. It's messy. And, now that I'm working from home, which is kind of new, I'm home, I'm quasi-retired at this point. I just really don't want the mess all over the house. I used to save them, but again, with the price of light iron, I don't know. I just assume leave them out on the curb for the metal guys. For me, it's about what's inside the computer. Okay, this is an HP Pavilion. A little bit older. I expect to find some goodies in here. This feels like a good heavy computer. And it says it has an iCore 3. Well, that's nice, but it won't be sellable. You can check it out on Board Sort's website to see what they actually will and will not buy for their test program. For me, I'm just going to put them in with the other computer chips, and when I get enough to warrant a load, I'll sell them. Okay. Once again, Torx number 10. Sounds like a drink. Torx number 10 on the rocks. I usually put the screws in a little jar with a top on it. As they get everywhere, they get in the driveway, they get in the tires, they get under your feet, they get all over the house. So, if you put them in a jar with a lid, you don't get them every which way. And you also don't get them all over the scrapyard for other people to run over. Can't tell you how many flat tires I used to have when I used to go to the former yard that I did business with. New yard that I go to is a little bit better. They've got a flat metal surface for you to drive your vehicle over, and they're much better about sweeping. I didn't see anything that I missed. There we go. It's just stuck. Fingered RAM, 8 megabytes. This guy does have a hard drive. Now, I do take the boards off the hard drives. I do it for two reasons. Number one, I think it's a better value than trying to ship hard drives out to Ohio. I do, as a matter of course, destroy the data in the computers that I work on. That usually involves dismantling the hard drive, if I'm able to. Sometimes you really, honestly, you just can't get at it. So again, that's something I'll do on another video. The boards are worth selling. I don't have the exact number in my head right now, but there's a low grade board and a high grade board. SATA versus non-SATA. This I think is SATA. They tend to be a little bit lower grade board. But definitely worth selling for gold recovery. Okay. Let's look at this guy. You do have to take the front cover off to push the hard drive through, and usually the CD-ROM drive as well. DVD or ABCD or whatever it actually happens to be. I usually try to get the power supply out of the way first, so I don't have all this wireage to deal with. I already know for a fact I'm going to take the insulated copper wire off. Even if I were to sell the power supply, I would sell it as a power supply with no wires. But as I've shared with you before, I do take apart the power supplies. I think it's worth it right now. Copper and aluminum are really worth it, and if you're able to get a few of these that really have good copper and aluminum recovery, and then you can sell the board anyway as a low-grade board, why not? I think really what it comes down to is if you have a local yard who will work with you. I no longer have that convenience. I have to travel to sell my e-scrap. I think it definitely affects your thinking about what you're going to do with how you're going to scrap. I know I just don't do things the same way anymore. The one yard that doesn't pay at all, they're really lousy. And another yard that just is unpleasant. again, they will buy these boards as well. I think anything that I can sell the board out of, I usually strip. I think that's a good, that works for me. A lot of people just will throw these in shred. You've just really got to decide what works best for you. As I said, for me right now, with the price of light iron and steel, just down to the point that it's offensive. Just, it's not worth it, in my opinion. Had one of these yesterday, little rubbishy board. Speaking of not worth it. Ugh. Doesn't even have a piece of brass in it. It's got stainless. So this one could have just gone a shred without any, oh, I lied. I lied. Piece of brass. Probably worth more than the entire bit of shred, eh? Will go in the shred pile. Now let's see. How do I get this hard drive out of here? I think I have to get the plug off before I can pull this out. Right out. Voila! I had to get the plugs off the end. So this is the lower grade board, and if you're not sure, usually it will say on the front SATA 1.0 terabytes. There are people who will wipe these and resell them. I don't. I'm going to take the screws off. I'm going to take this hard drive out. I'm going to try and get at the platters if I can. And sometimes this is cast aluminum, and sometimes this is stainless steel. Most of the time it's just steel. And these, I mean, there's some weight there, so I guess those are probably worth saving. But I'm going to probably do the hard drive destruction on another video. And again, this is a lot of just really low grade wire, nothing worth mentioning. Again, it's in your best interest to sort things, because the yard, by standard practice, 90% of them, they're going to give you the lowest price they can, which means if you have 100 pounds of super awesome number 2 copper wire and 1 pound of crummy spaghetti wire, you're going to get paid for 101 pounds of crummy spaghetti wire. That's just the way that's the way they are. Gotta protect yourself and know what you're bringing in. I'm not saying that they're all dishonest or they all cheat or anything like that. No. I'm just saying that's standard procedure. Unless you're in Florida and you go down to see Non-Ferrous Jeff. He's very honest. I love watching his videos. That's the way a scrapyard should be run. This is the same as the other. I'm going to pop these clips off. I'll unscrew this and I'll have a piece of clean aluminum. I don't think you want to watch me do that all over again though. Definitely want to get all the wire that you can out of the computer, because that's again where your value is and where you're going to make a little bit of money. It's going to be on the wire. It's not going to be on the steel. It'll be on the wire. It'll be on the board. It'll be on the gold bearing stuff, the RAM, CPU. That's where you're going to make the money. Again, remember, you've got to take the board, the battery off the board. Grab the brass. And you've got the bent arm, so this is going to be weird. You know that because it was on the front, it's going to be an I-Core 3. I never used to find I-Cores. Lately I find them. I-Core 34130. I already know because I looked, I know the I-Core 3s are just going to sell a scrap value. I will double check though. True to form, you've got yourself a green P3 small metal socket motherboard. And that's really pretty much it for this. Nothing new here that wasn't in the other board. These I'll do separately in another video. And that's about it on these guys. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay warm, stay wonderful.